Hello, I am David Zanone, Technical Marketing Engineer here at Infoblox. And today we are here to talk about the new Infoblox and Splunk Phantom integration. First, we'll see an overview of the Infoblox integration with Splunk's SOAR platform, Phantom. Then we will explain and demonstrate a use case for the integration. After that, we will see an overview of how to configure the integration, along with a brief walkthrough of how to set everything up. Finally, to wrap things up, we will examine the benefits of the integration and conclude with a short review. Now let's take a quick look at an overview of the integration. When properly configured, Splunk Phantom along with the Infoblox DDI and Dossier apps allow for the effective investigation, hunting, and response to threats. All this is done by integrating Phantom with Dossier's powerful threat intelligence and event metadata, and by adding the powerful benefits of Infoblox's DDI. Together, Infoblox and Phantom empower administrators with the ability to automate many tasks, mitigate threats, and improve the overall ROI of both products. Now let us look at a use case for this integration, which consists of the detection and mitigation of a phishing email that was sent to a user. First, an email containing a malicious URL is sent to a user. Then, Phantom extracts all artifacts from the email. This includes the malicious URL. Next, the Phantom app Infoblox Dossier searches the Dossier database for more information on the artifacts that have been extracted from the email. This action leads the Dossier app to detect malicious content. Splunk Phantom then notifies the administrator that malicious content has been detected thanks to information that was leveraged from the Infoblox Dossier database. The administrator then confirms that they would like to block the domain. Splunk Phantom simultaneously eradicates the email from the user's inbox and utilizes the Infoblox DDI app to block the domain via a response policy zone. In addition to blocking the domain, the app also adds an extensible attribute to the user's device that contains an event ID showing that this user was targeted. Now let's look at this use case in a live environment. First, let's view the emails that have been ingested by our Splunk Phantom device. Now let's view the email titled, "Is this a phish?" calling all employees. As we can see, various artifacts have been extracted from the email. The artifact we currently care about is the phish URL artifact. Let's check the URL's domain in the Dossier database. We can do this by running an investigative action on this domain. Click Run Action, Investigate, then look up domain. By clicking on this action, we can see the Infoblox Dossier app. Let's look up the domain using this app. Confirm that we'd like to perform this action on the domain by clicking Save, then by clicking Launch. After a moment, we can see that the domain has a threat confidence of 100 and a threat level of 80. This information tells us that this domain is a known threat and isn't to be trusted. To demonstrate the automation of detecting and taking action on this threat, let's run a playbook that leverages both the Infoblox Dossier app and the Infoblox DDI app. By navigating to playbooks and searching for Infoblox, we can see a custom playbook that was created for this use case. In a production environment, the playbook would be run the moment an email came in. However, for demonstration purposes, we will prompt the playbook to run. To view more information, we will run the playbook in the playbook debugger. Let's input the ID of the phishing email 6228 and run the playbook by clicking Test. Here we can see verbose information about the actions the playbook is taking. By navigating back to the email's mission control, we can see that the playbook is awaiting confirmation. Let's confirm that we would like to take action on the email and observe the results. We can do this by clicking the notification bell and then clicking on the listed prompt. Let's choose Yes of the listed options and confirm our response. Initially, we can see that the email was deleted from our user's inbox. Now let's view the additional action that was taken by visiting our gridmaster. First, let's observe the extensible attribute that was attached to the user's device. First, we will navigate to the 192.168.24 network. Once inside the network, let's look at the device that was targeted by this attack. This device is located at the IPv4 address ending in 101. Here we can see the extensible attribute that was added to the client. Note that this number corresponds to the email that was sent to the user. Finally, let's view the entry that was added to our response policy zone. The response policy zone Phantom was created specifically for this demo. By viewing the contents of this response policy zone, we can see that the domain contained in our malicious email was added, and now will be blocked. By running a dig command, we can confirm that the domain can no longer be resolved to an IP. Note the additional section that shows the response policy zone Phantom actively blocking this request. Now we will go over a brief overview of how the integration is configured. First, prepare the Infoblox grid for the integration by adding the Phantom ID extensible attribute, and by adding a response policy zone. Then, acquire a Dossier API key. Next, integrate the Phantom device by downloading and configuring the Infoblox Dossier and Infoblox DDI apps. Finally, test the apps to ensure they are working properly. Please note that in order to fully utilize the Infoblox DDI and Dossier apps, you must have the correct licenses for both Infoblox and Phantom. Now let's walk through the configuration of this integration. First, let's view the required extensible attribute. Navigate to Administration, then Extensible Attributes. By scrolling down, we can see the extensible attribute Phantom ID. This extensible attribute is used to populate a number that corresponds to an event. Note that this extensible attribute is case sensitive for this integration. Now let's view the response policy zone that has been created for this integration. Navigate to Data Management, DNS, then Response Policy Zones. The zone Phantom has been created for this demo. This response policy zone is populated by any domains that have been added by the Infoblox DDI app. If desired, you may use a custom response policy zone for your own environment. Next, we need to acquire a Dossier API key. First, log into your Cloud Services Portal account. Then, on the bottom left of the screen, access your user preferences. Next, access your API keys and copy your Dossier API key. Be sure to save this key for later, as it will be used on the Phantom device. Now let's install and configure the apps on the Splunk Phantom device. First, navigate to Apps located in the drop-down navigation menu. Then click on New Apps to add a new app. Search for Infoblox and install the Infoblox DDI app. Then, search for Dossier and install the Dossier app. Now let's create assets for these apps. Click on Unconfigured Apps and search for DDI. Then click on Configure New Asset. Now give the asset a name and, if desired, a description. Next, click on Asset Settings. Input the URL used to access the Infoblox Grid's web interface and credentials of a user that has the required permissions. Now click Save to finalize the creation of the new Infoblox DDI asset. Now let's create the Infoblox Dossier asset. Search for Dossier in the list of unconfigured apps. Then click Configure New Asset. Input an asset name and, if desired, an asset description. Then click Asset Settings. Now input the Dossier API key that was acquired earlier. Now these assets are ready to be tested and utilized in playbooks. Please note that it is suggested to fully test these assets before deploying and using them in a production environment. Now let's review the benefits of this integration. Together, Infoblox and Splunk's SOAR platform, Phantom, create a powerful tandem offering time and money-saving benefits. This integration also benefits administrators with powerful threat visibility via Infoblox's Dossier tool, which leverages comprehensive threat intelligence and event metadata. Finally, this integration offers effective automation for tasks that are time-sensitive. Now let's go over what was covered in this video. We showcase the power of this integration by demonstrating the detection and remediation of a phishing email. We also briefly went over how to configure the integration. And to finish everything up, we covered the benefits of using Infoblox with Phantom. Thank you for your time viewing this video. All documentation regarding the Infoblox and Splunk Phantom integration is located on the Infoblox community website located at community.infoblox.com. If you have any other concerns, questions, or comments, you can find myself or other Infoblox experts at the Infoblox community website.